Is your brain keeping you stuck? It's not because you're lazy or untalented. It's because you're probably thinking like everyone else. And let's be honest, most people are making pretty bad financial decisions. I've spent hundreds of hours with billionaires, and I grew up around people with nothing. The real difference between them isn't luck or intelligence or even how hard they work. It's how they think. The top 1% think in a way that flips the rules of money completely in their favor. So today, I'm going to share the 6 mental principles the top 1% use to think differently about everything. Principle number 1. When you're faced with stress, setbacks, or drama, the 1% ask one question that changes everything. Every time a deal falls apart or a key person quits, just pause and ask yourself, will this even matter in 5 years? This might seem simple, but it's crazy how 99% of the time, the answer is no. This perspective keeps you focused on what actually compounds your success, not what distracts you. She told me one of our favorite team members was resigning. It would have been so easy to get upset, frustrated, and just freak out. But instead, she and I had a very calm conversation. I used this exact framework. In 5 years, will I even remember this bad news happened? The reality is, in 5 years, I'm going to be really excited about what I'm building. These moments of stress and drama are never worth it because you want to even remember the situation happened. You're going to remember how you handled it. If you're a stressed out person, you'll always respond with stress. If you're a calm, confident person, you'll remember that your life was filled with fun, exciting moments. Most people confuse urgency with importance. Just because something feels urgent doesn't mean it's actually important. The 1% can separate the two by applying a long-term perspective. So the next time something goes wrong, pause and ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? If not, handle it with minimal energy. If it will, then give it your full strategic attention. Principle number 2. Don't focus on hard work, focus on patterns. I kept seeing top performers burning out after hitting their first $1 million in revenue. I realized this wasn't a hard work problem. It was a pattern problem. Over the last 10 years, I've studied thousands of businesses, and the majority never get over that $1 million mark. What is happening is the business owner cut and see that they are the problem and that they are unable to train other people effectively. I realized that me solving one business owner's problem individually over and over again was actually the same problem every time. The 1% are able to zoom out and see these cycles that keep repeating. They use that insight to make smarter and faster systems, because hard work just makes you busy. Pattern recognition allows you to become rich. Look at the last 3 problems you've solved and ask yourself, are they actually the same problem wearing different masks? If you're solving the same type of issue repeatedly, stop doing that. Build a system around the problem. Once you have the solution in place, it gets implemented forever. That is how you scale. Principle number 3. 1 level up thinking. When my team brings me problems, I don't just jump in with answers anymore. I ask myself, if I were on the board of directors, how would I handle this? This helps me stop reacting emotionally and forces me to think structurally. I learned this from my husband. Years ago, we were about to run into a massive fulfillment problem, and this area was my responsibility. Instead of him jumping in to help me solve these problems, he refused to get involved. He let me figure out how to solve this problem because it was my job. That was invaluable to me. He wanted to solve the problem, but he didn't allow himself to get derailed from his own job. When you remove the emotion, you set your team and your entire structure up for success. If you keep hopping in, the team never gets better. You just keep getting sucked into doing the same thing over and over again. This is how I went from being an operator to an architect. The 1% constantly zoom out of their current level to think of the next one. That is how you start acting like a CEO long before you ever get the title. Principle number 4. Emotionless decision-making equals freedom. When I fired my executive vice president, it wasn't emotional, it was math. The numbers told the story before the drama ever did. When somebody comes into your environment, look at the numbers. If the numbers before them were growing, but when they join, the graph starts to go down in the metrics that person is responsible for, you do not need to use emotion when firing them. It's just math. The only way you know if somebody's doing the job is if your stats in life get better. Anyone inside your environment where your life gets worse around them means they are not fulfilling the role. They have to go. I used to second-guess tough calls all the time. Now I treat my emotions like background noise. I acknowledge them, but I make decisions based off the data. The elite do not make decisions based on their emotions. They make decisions based on data-driven bets. Emotions slow down execution, whereas clarity compounds wealth. Make the decision from the data column, not the emotion column. You fire somebody because they can't do the job. Principle number 5. Protect your time like it's your capital. I used to feel like I never had enough time until I started saying no to things that ended up costing me 2 hours of context switching. By cutting off little things, I bought back massive amounts of time for strategy. I learned this in college. One of my close friends was always busy. She said yes to every person who wanted coffee or lunch. She was popular. She was also incredibly stressed and never able to spend time on her grades. I rarely said yes to people. I wanted to get my work done. By the end of the semester, even though she felt busy, she didn't get the results she wanted. The acquaintances she said yes to weren't helping her get closer to her goals. I was busy focused on getting the grades I wanted and spending time with a handful of people I love. You can say yes to a million things and feel busy. But if you not saying yes to the things getting you closer to where you want to go, it's wasted time. My calendar gets audited like a financial statement. If it doesn't create leverage or generate momentum, it's not getting scheduled. That shift made me more effective than any productivity hack. Average people trade time for money. The elite treat time as capital, as an asset that can compound. So audit your calendar. For every meeting, ask, what is the return on investment for this hour? Cancel, delegate, or shorten anything that doesn't create true value. Your calendar today is actually your future. And the last principle, a curated environment equals curated thinking. I used to think I could be successful despite my environment. It didn't matter that my house was a mess or that I had friends who were unaccountable. But if I couldn't get control of my own environment, the food I eat, how I move, the friends I hang out with, how was I going to impact other people? I had to take an honest look. What was the state of my possessions? Were things banged up and messy or organized? Were my relationships successful, or were they struggling and placing issues on me? Was my income growing or stagnant? I found I was so focused on solving other people's problems that I never took the time to solve the problems I could actually control. Curating your environment has to be the first step to becoming elite. If your environment doesn't challenge your operating system, you will end up defending mediocrity instead of evolving. I am ruthless about curating who I'm around. I watched this with my husband recently. We are no longer spending time with a particular individual, and my husband is 5 times happier. I can trace it back to the fact that this one person is no longer in his ear. The 1% only spend time around people who stretch their standards, challenge their thinking, and sharpen their worldview. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they stretching your thinking or reinforcing your limitations? If your environment isn't challenging you, change it. Join communities where you are the least successful person in the room. That discomfort is growth. Your thinking will never outpace your environment. If you act on these 6 principles, you will think differently from 99% of people. And that is how wealth is built. If you like this video and want to learn how to communicate like the 1%, so that people actually listen when you speak, watch that video next.